it together. There's nothing better. It's now or never. Make it through somehow. Make it through somehow.
Hey mamas, this is the Mommy Me Please podcast, and I am the owner and founder of the Mommy Me Please brand. This brand was brought together to create a community for moms to come together, talk about their experiences, and just keeping it real about motherhood. And so today I have with me Enjhonae, and she's going to tell you a little bit about herself.
Hey guys, my name is Enjhonae. I'm 22 and I have a beautiful 1-year-old princess.
Yes, and then I have Miss Jaida.
Hey, my name is Jaida. I have a 9-year-old son.
And let me talk about my daughter. So she's 4 months, and yes, I had a baby literally in the middle of a pandemic. So tragic. So we're just gonna get into these questions, and yeah. So first, I want to know from you guys: did your labor and delivery go 100% as planned? And if not, what happened? Who's gonna jump in? Who's gonna jump in?
Okay, well, I guess I would say I wish I had like a whole, set plan, this and this and this is what I'm going to do. But I did definitely want sound music to relax me, my worship music. And I wanted the lights dim. Like in my head, I had this whole relaxed, woosah vibe, like me in touch with my body and my baby. Not to say that it didn't go exactly like that. I ended up not using the music, but it definitely was a lot better than I expected, and I was so fearful of, oh my gosh, how's this gonna happen, and everything happening so fast. But I definitely picked the right people to be in the room with me, and it was just a good experience overall. It was a lot more relaxed than I thought having a baby would be for me.
So it actually turned out to be a good thing.
Yes.
Changed with,
yes. Yeah. Instead of having it so I wanted to be like this and so strict, it was a lot more relaxed and just oh, let's do this. This is what's happening.
I wanted music, right? Mm-hmm. I had a whole playlist.
I had a playlist.
And I got there and I was like, cut it. I don't want no music. Everybody be quiet. I didn't want no music. So same, and definitely having the right people in the room. Mm-hmm. I had my husband and my doula, and they were really supportive. So definitely. Jaida, did your labor and delivery go 100% as planned?
I didn't have a plan. I wanted that baby out as quickly as possible. I had no plan. I didn't have music in a playlist and none of that. I was like, just get him out. I wanted to have him natural if possible, but drug me up if
exactly.
So because I was so young, they expected me to be in labor for 48 hours. So they were like, just expect to be in labor for 2 to 3 days, and I was in labor for 8.5 hours.
Yes.
And slept for 8 of those hours. So
wait, so you didn't have the epidural?
I had the epidural, but because I got scoliosis due to pregnancy, it didn't work. Wow. So I definitely had a natural birth, and yeah.
So you got scoliosis once you got pregnant, or you had
due to pregnancy because he was in my back.
Wow. So you had back labor.
Yes.
Me too. I didn't get scoliosis, but I did have back labor, and y'all.
Let's talk about it, because
you have back
that
labor?
was my main problem, and I'm so small. I'm there's no reason my back should be hurting this young, but everywhere I went, especially near the end, that was most for me. My back was hurting all the time.
I had never even heard of back labor until I'm lying. One of my friends, she did have back labor, but I didn't expect that's not something I heard a lot of. Right. But to know that all 3 of us had back labor,
I didn't even know the term. I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah,
so,
but my back was literally on fire.
Thing.
Mm-hmm. It was on fire.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Wow.
All right, so the next question is, what was the most memorable moment of your labor and delivery?
Him coming out.
Jada.
I mean it, because when they pulled him out and put him on me, my mom had to scream at me to grab him, because I just sat there what just happened? It was so unreal, and I was she was like, hold your baby. And my mom was like, grab him, and I was like, oh my God.
Did you cry? Were you crying?
I was so shocked. I couldn't even cry. I had no emotion. I just sat there, and I was like, oh my God, it just really just came out of me. It was crazy.
So your mom was just like, grab your baby. Okay. That's funny.
Yeah.
About you?
What was my most memorable moment? And then putting it between the labor and delivery, it's just so much. But
labor, yeah.
My most memorable moment was the getting into the hospital. So I did most of my labor at home because I was one of those, like, I needed to know, like, all right, she got to be coming out for me to go to the hospital because I didn't want to get sent home. So I was stubborn. I did most of it at home. So me, my fiance, and my mom, we were just chilling at home for most of the time. And me and my mom, she ended up driving me, and just the way, like, the time that it took to get to the room of between them contractions, like, just stopping, and my mom literally carrying me half the way. That was my most memorable moment. And it made me think about, like, what she went through when it was her turn, and it just makes you more connected with your mom, like, that understanding what pregnancy and having my baby definitely did for me and my mom. So that was, like, my most memorable moment of that connection, like you know,
beautiful.
us getting each other there.
Yes. I would have to say my most memorable moment of, I would say labor first, was me asking, like, the midwife. I was like, why is no one telling me to push? Because that's all I've ever, like, heard was, like, you know, they tell you push, and she was like, no, I'm not going to tell you to push, like, you'll feel it.
Right.
And so I'm sitting in the tub, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this is never going to happen, because first off, I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, what am I supposed to be feeling?
What am I feeling? And then it came, and I'm like, oh snap, that's what she was talking about. It's time to push. So, like, I think, like, that, like, almost, like, discouragement, like, dang, like, I don't know, like, what I'm supposed to be feeling. Am I doing this right? So that was just really, like, but when it happened, it was like, okay, like, it's time. And then the most memorable part of the actual delivery was when the baby was coming out. My plan was to have the baby in the tub, but I ended up on the floor because I ended up getting out the tub, but her neck started turtling or something, and so they had to, like, literally pick me up off the stool and put me on the floor in order to pull her out. However, because my plan was to have her in the tub, I wouldn't have had it any other way. Like, the pictures, everything was just, like, so raw, so beautiful. So, like, that was, like, a memorable moment. And my baby came out. She was big, and they threw her on me, and I kind of had one like you, like, and then this baby just came out of me. Like, so, yeah, that was my most.
Definitely had that, like, shook moment, like,
right.
Wait,
this is my baby. This is my baby. She just came out of me. Yeah, so crazy.
Wow.
All right, so did you guys ever experience any complications during pregnancy and or during birth? I know we talked to Jaida a little bit about the scoliosis, but was there anything else, like complications?
I don't think I had any complications. A lot of fear, like the doctors and people were, like, putting in me because I was so young, but I didn't have really any complications. I mean, like, I still have scoliosis due to pregnancy 9 years ago, but not during my pregnancy. I definitely had kinkles, like, the last month. Like, my ankles were swollen. It was crazy. But,
That's good.
Yeah, like you were saying, I wouldn't say it was smooth sailing, but, like, I didn't have morning sickness. I didn't have, like, a lot of stuff until the very end when it was like, okay, like, that's when everything, my body was feeling heavy, always hurting. So that was, like, the most of complications. But as far as delivery, I ended up having to wear, like, a oxygen thing because they saying she wasn't getting enough oxygen when she was in my belly, and that ended up speeding up the process of her getting out. Like, they were just monitoring it the whole time, and then it was that time, like, all right, she has to come out now. So that was, like, not really complications, like, it wasn't, like, super intense, but that was that only moment that I was like, okay, what's going on, like, just not knowing how it's gonna go.
So did you guys, like, were you guys full term? Did you have a little bit early, or were you, like, late? Like,
I was like a week early, I think.
You were a week early.
I was 2 days early.
Wow. Well, I was 2 weeks late. Why my baby wasn't coming out?
I won't have it now. I said, you know, I wish you would.
Yo, I tried everything. I was bouncing the ball and everything.
Doing all the walking, like, I did what y'all told me to do.
My baby didn't want to come out.
Wow.
But,
she let you.
I mean, literally, 2 weeks, y'all. I was 42 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was in tears.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was just thinking, like, what if she goes over the due date? Like, my patience can't do it. I think God knew. I think that's what it was.
Y'all,
like,
I was in this house like, oh.
Can she just come out?
And then at the point where it's like you go overdue, you're thinking, okay, any day can be
that day. Just so that pressure, like I just gotta stay even more ready.
Everything I'm feeling, I'm like, oh, is that a contraction? No, it's not.
No, the Braxton Hicks, that's my real complication.
No, I had Braxton Hicks my whole pregnancy, and it kept confusing me. Like I had to go to the hospital one time because I thought I was in labor, and they were like, "You're just having real." They were like, "You're just having really intense Braxton Hicks." Like they were real. Oof. Yeah, so it was crazy.
That was me. I was that one. I went to the hospital twice. That's why I was like, okay, I'm not going until I know. Like, I really feel like she's there. So that was like another complication because the Braxton Hicks felt so bad. Like, I would go, like, there's no reason they should feel like this.
Yeah.
You said this supposed to be cramping? No. So, yeah. That,
well, I think
that
the
was
only, I didn't have any complications. I think the only thing I really struggled with was like low iron deficiency.
Same, yeah.
And so like, but once I figured out like what to do, I started taking whole food iron instead of like the synthetic iron pills. And my like iron levels went up like tremendously. And I was doing like a green smoothie every morning. So that helped my iron a lot. But they kept scaring me like, you may have to get a blood transfusion. I was just like, I don't want a blood transfusion. So like that's the pretty much I think the only thing. Other than that, it was pretty easy.
Yes, for our
So, yeah.
feeling.
All right, let's see. What was the most eye-opening thing about mommyhood after going home? It was just like, oh dang, like I'm a mama, like
yes. I feel like I'm still like that. Like there's
yeah.
still moments, I guess, in every stage where you just look and you're like, wow, this is my life now. Like I'm a mom. This is my kid. Like I'm responsible for her.
So
I
what
don't think
I
that
guess-
ever stops.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
So
I've
what
always been
changed?
like
Okay,
that.
so like what changed drastically after you became a mom? Like
I think, because in the beginning, like the newborn stage, I feel like all of that is kind of expected. Like, you know, you're not going to get a lot of sleep. You know, you're going to be up and blah, blah, blah. But I think the most eye-opening is probably like how you can't do just anything. Like, I can't just go to the store. I can't just take a nap. I can't just use the bathroom. Like, everything has to be like, okay, if I'm doing this, what is Eden doing? And then blah, blah, blah. So I think that was the most eye-opening thing because I'm so used to just, all right, I'm going to do this and blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah, for me it was like, oh, my life is different. Like, and me being so young, it was like, I can't just get up and okay, this is where I'm gonna go, this is what I'm gonna do now. It was like, oh, like this little person's with me like 25/8. Like, no, literally,
And I love her,
time,
but
right.
it's just like, wow.
they're
It's
always
just
with
that
you.
me time is very slim,
Limited.
and you gotta catch it when you can and
Limited.
cherish it.
Right.
So you keep mentioning like you were very young. You want to tell our audience like how old were you when you had your baby boy?
So I was 15 when I got pregnant and I gave birth. So I didn't even turn 16 before I gave birth. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
So like your like whole like kind of like teenage years, kind of
Freshman
like
year of high school.
wow, I can't imagine. Like literally,
you a
I'm
real one for
grown.
that.
I'm right. Yeah, like props to you
Literally,
because
Jaida.
I think kind of what Enjhonae said. I'm a very very spontaneous person. Like I would get up like I'm going to Atlanta. And Jared be like, sit your butt down. You ain't going nowhere. Like I'm very very spontaneous. Like I want to go up, like get up and go furniture shopping. I don't know, like something. And now that I can't like literally get up and go, I have to plan everything out. Like you said, the bathroom is literally like a thing.
Like every little thing. I didn't think
At first,
about
like
it.
I used to, this may be a little bit TMI, but like I used to literally take Aubrey to the bathroom with me and like be breastfeeding while I'm on it. So like,
No,
I'm
I
gonna
thought
be done.
I had that in my head. Like, is this nasty? Like, no, we good.
I mean, I'm like, she's
Somebody
eating,
gonna
and I'm
get it
just,
done.
yeah, I'm
Somebody
like,
gonna get it done.
but yeah, like it was a real thing. So
Yeah.
cool. Today's episode is sponsored by Infocus Media. From portraits, weddings, and sporting events, they have all of your media needs. Be sure to visit their Instagram page at Infocus Media and their website, infocusmedia.com, and let them know Mommy Me Please podcast sent you. Back to the show. All right, now for our popcorn session, I am going to be popping a question, and you only have like 1 second to answer. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, let's see, Jaida. What was the most embarrassing thing you found yourself doing as a mother? Go.
Most embarrassing?
You find yourself
I felt like I
doing.
was doing things wrong. I mean, like, one time I had Damaris's onesie on backwards and didn't realize that we were at the mall. Like,
Okay.
no one could see it, but I just feel like that was, like, major embarrassing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I
Oh,
guess I
gosh.
can. No, that ain't your question because you had too much
But
time.
I'm just trying to be ready.
So I'll just share my most embarrassing moment. So my daughter, she was like 2 weeks old and she was crying like really, really hard, and I didn't know why. Like I was like, doctor, I think my baby's broken. Can you fix her? And so they was like, okay, go through your day to day. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this, and this. It was like, well, are you burping her? And I was like, oh. I ain't been burping the baby. The baby's stomach is hurting.
Oh, that gas.
A lot. So she was like screaming, and we did not know why, y'all. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Like, we was walking her around for hours trying to put her to sleep. She was just screaming.
Poor thing.
And her poor little stomach, that's.
But it be like that. Like,
And
you're
people was
right.
like, you didn't know to burp your baby? Well, I did, but I didn't know it was necessary each and every time.
Yeah.
So we got it.
No,
now.
every time. You don't need to do it this time. We gotta go.
They're like, we gotta go. Let's go.
I'm tired.
All right. Enjhonae,
Yes.
what's something you said what's something you said you wouldn't do as a mom before you became a mom that you find yourself doing now?
Probably number one would be like the TV and all that stuff. Because I was so like, my baby is not gonna watch TV and she's not gonna be on the phone and blah blah blah. But she loves Frozen. She loves Turn On More Party She. So it's like any phone. But I feel like it's inevitable, especially at this time with these kids. So, but yeah, that was that one thing that I was like, she is not gonna be on the phone about a lot. And
I feel like I find myself doing it a lot, and like. My husband and friends told me, like, once you have kids, that's going to totally change. Like, because you say you're going to do this, this, and this, but you honestly don't know until you come along. Because, like, I was like, my baby is not sleeping in my bed. Girl, first night, I was like, she got to go right here. She won't sleep with your bassinet. This is the only time she, like, the only way she could kind of stay content and sleep. So, like, we'd literally be like, I'm not gonna do this.
I'm not gonna do this when I have a baby. Ooh,
why are you doing that?
You have a baby, be like, that's
and like now, I tell my husband, I'm gonna stop judging people for like what they do. Because okay, I gotta just tell this one little story. So I used to judge people for wobbling. I just thought they were being extra. I was like, why do you have to? They being extra.
Not wobbling.
Yeah.
And then as small as all three of us.
Right.
We was in there like,
we can't even tell you turn around.
Exactly.
Or like grunting and stuff, but it's real. You be like, ooh, my body, girl.
And I realized, like, even when you're smaller, you feel a lot bigger. Like, when you're not showing, I did not realize that you just feel so heavy and, like, you carry so much. So
it's real.
now you definitely understand, like, oh, it's for real.
They won't play. They won't, So I'm sorry to other mamas that was coming in. I'm sorry about that. But this has been great conversation. Thank you guys for coming by, stopping by, telling your stories.
We had a great time.
Yes, and thanks guys for tuning in and listening. And I will see you guys on my next podcast.
Bye.
Together, there's nothing better.